What's up, everybody? Welcome to Common Sense the Podcast. I hope you guys are all excited for today's show. I know I've been excited all week, just waiting for this, ready to rock and roll. Like I said, this might be the hottest, controversial podcast we've done yet. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. There's no telling where this shit's going to go, but...
From the pre-conversation, it is. And
it's
that's exactly what the
Yeah.
hell we want.
It's going to get really racist.
Yeah, we almost said we were just going to stop talking, but we couldn't even stop talking before we got on the show. So.
No holds barred today.
No holds barred. So, everybody, please welcome Tim Young to the show.
What's going on?
Welcome, my man. How are you?
Good. Once I learn how to use my phone and share the link to this, that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to help. I'm doing my part.
Yes! He's putting it out on Twitter.
Yes. There we go. It should be on Twitter now.
There we go. Well, welcome to the show, Tim.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the cigar. By the way, I get why you gave me the cigar, right?
Yeah.
It's got a ruple on here. Is this 25 ruples?
I don't know.
That's what the
a
trolls
million,
claim
maybe.
I
I don't know.
The trolls claim I get paid this. I'm apparently part of the Russian Federation. I didn't know about it.
Yeah, well, the trolls are going to be excited now. I'm feeding into this. I had to get you the most political cigar I could find.
I love this, by the way. It's a great cigar, too.
Yeah, they're very good.
But by the way, years ago, in 2016, I was invited to speak at a free speech conference by the Russian Federation. They had my contact information.
Nice.
And they reached out. And I reached out to my friends at the White House. I go, is this a good idea? And so one of my friends worked in defense intelligence. The other one worked in security at the White House. And it was like a wife and a husband, and they both argued over whether or not I should go over there. The husband was like, absolutely, you're going to be honeypotted. We'll give you devices to go with. Don't take your own devices. And then she was like, absolutely not. You're going to be honeypotted. It's going to ruin your career. And I'm like, oh, well, I should have gone.
I don't think it would have hurt you for some reason. I feel like you would have rolled right through it, and it probably would have got you like another million followers.
I spoke at, I wish I had 1 million followers. My Twitter, by the way, is just, I don't know what's happening over there. It's all slow now. Like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's like, I think there are still bad people at Twitter that hit the button.
I had to pay attention to him because I don't mess with Twitter a whole lot, but then I
You
saw
don't
your
drive
following,
a Tesla.
And I was
Buy
like,
a Tesla and watch what happens.
I got to mess with this. Like, I got to at least, like, tag him and, like, promote the show on here so you could share it because I was like, your Twitter following is insane.
I don't see any of my notifications, by the way. I have no idea. And it's weird, like, so when Elon started saying about, like, he was going to buy Twitter, when he started playing with that, my following doubled. Like, I was like 400,000. I remember spending a ton of money at a bourbon bar because I was celebrating 400,000.
Yeah.
Within the next 3 months, I had 700,000.
Wow.
And I'm like, shit. And then now it's like I can barely get 200 followers a day on Twitter because somebody's hit the button over there for a little bit. We'll see where it goes.
Maybe you should tweet Elon. I mean, you guys chat back and forth like
he has. So I actually, God, I hope I don't sound like it. Well, whatever. I just sound like an asshole. And when you say I hope I don't sound like an asshole, you sound like an asshole. I don't mean to brag. No. So
humble brag there.
I was in a bunch of news articles. I think it was Christmas. Because he responded to an article, and people started asking him questions about politics. Like, I guess it was a slow night for him.
Yeah.
And they asked him who he would support, or if he would support DeSantis in 2024, and he said yes. Okay. So that was in a response to my stuff. So.
All right. So for those of you that don't know and it's not obvious, Tim is a political comedian and does all kinds of stuff with politics and comedy.
Yeah.
So if you don't get that, this show's going to probably be really rough for you. Like, if you guys take this real seriously, I mean, have at it. I mean, I can't wait to see the comments on this show just because I think it's going to be funny. Like we were talking about when you first got here, I follow your Instagram before I even knew who you were because until Evan came around the lounge, I didn't know who you were, but I followed your Instagram because his Instagram is Tim Runs His Mouth. Yeah. And anybody that knows me, I tend to run my mouth quite a bit at certain times. And the guys were all like teasing me at work, like, wow, this dude like stole your handle. That would have been the perfect handle for you. Like Garrett Runs His Mouth. Like that.
I'm surprised more people don't have that.
Yeah, I know.
Why not?
It's genius.
It's not stealing it. It's my mother used to tell me I ran my mouth. And so it was actually back before liberals totally took over colleges. I had Tim Runs His Mouth on Twitter. That was my first thing in like 2009 or something like that. And there was a college marketing class that took me on as a project from like Towson University or something like that. And they took me on for free. And they were like, you should name all of your stuff Tim Runs His Mouth. That was the big takeaway, was name everything Tim Runs His Mouth and go brand it. Because they were like, that branding is great. And I'm like, oh, okay. So thank you to a liberal college class who like took me on as like a side project. That was like their marketing thing that semester.
It created all that is.
Yeah, I'm sure now somebody can tout that, but like it's just interesting that like that it would never happen now.
Yeah, that's awesome. So before we just like dive in, because this is just going to be like off the cuff like it normally is, but I mean, why don't you tell everybody like a quick little synopsis of how you came to do what you do today?
I don't know.
Like, wait.
I mean, I really don't like. It's just one of those things that just happen, and then when you're in it, like you can't get out of it. Like it's like driving in New York, right? You don't step on the brakes. If you step on the brakes, you get hit. You have to keep hitting the gas pedal, or else you're fucked.
Or a horn.
Both,
Yeah,
right? And I guess that's the run your mouth part, is that I'm doing both at the same time. I wrote my first op-ed when I was 14, published, and it was I was complaining about a science teacher in my high school who would take kids away for the weekend to his cabin. Turned out he was a child molester, and I got him fired.
Wow.
That was my very first writing at 14. And he ended up like turning tricks in like the Sears bathroom at the mall down the street from me after he lost his job. He got arrested. He got picked up on that. That was my first op-ed.
I don't even know what to say to that. That's wild.
So then I ended up in law school. Somewhere along the line, I ended up in law school. I was writing. I always kind of kept writing here and there and whatever. Internal Capitol Hill. And then I've always just kind of been a stand-up comic. I haven't obviously been as successful as a lot of stand-up comics, but like I've got my own niche, and so like I speak at conferences and colleges.
Where did that start though? Like, did you just one day decide I'm going to be a comic, or?
Oh no! So there was another comic named Tim Young, and there were two comics.
I know that because I was trying to find some of that stuff, and his shit pulled up a lot, and like you guys don't look anything alike. I was like, this is not Tim Young.
People think I'm him though.
That's weird.
He started wearing the black rimmed glasses. I don't think he needs glasses. He started wearing the glasses when I started doing black rimmed glasses. I think on purpose. He does cruise ships.
Yeah.
That guy does cruise ships. That's like the. I mean, I'm sure it's a good living.
Yeah. Don't want to do cruise ships?
Have you ever seen a comedian on a cruise ship?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's his thing. But like, I saw him once on TV when I was in college. I was like 21, and I didn't think he was funny, and so I started doing stand up. That's literally it. I just thought I was funnier than him, and so I went up and did that. And I've done comedy clubs. I've done that, but like for me, I'm lazy, and it's more bang for my buck to just do. And I want an intelligent audience, so I've stuck with political conferences, colleges, and private events, and that's it. And so like I don't perform as much as I want to. I just did my special, of course, that you guys didn't watch. And it's free.
Working on it.
It's free on Rumble.
It's because I'm not doing the Rumble thing yet. Like, it's coming.
It's free.
I know, but I'm trying to work a deal with Rumble and get set up with them.
You let me know when you get a deal with Rumble, so I can get a deal with Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to get it like worked out, and I was like, until they do that, like, I'm not signing up. Like, the guys were even giving me shit on the Bad Words podcast because I haven't. They're launching that tonight, and I was like, they're like, you're gonna watch it? I'm like, yeah, when I set up my Rumble account, because I'm just not doing it yet.
The trailer for the Bad Words podcast sort of looks like it's porn.
It does.
At the beginning, it's a little weird.
It does,
and
everybody's
seedy.
all.
That's a little weird. Like it's, and I'm in it. I didn't even know I was in the trailer. Did you know I'm in the trailer?
I saw it. Yeah.
I know I was in the trailer for the Bad Words podcast. They need to let me know. I have to license my likeness for their promotion. No,
I think so. Especially if you're wearing your no hat. That would be.
Was I wearing my no hat?
No, you should have been. That would have been perfect.
I haven't been wearing it out lately. I don't know.
Where did that start? Like, what is that even?
It's my tattoo.
I know it's your tattoo, but like what?
It's my favorite sentence.
Okay.
It's the most respectful thing. I think it's the most respectful sentence in many languages, because you're not wasting anybody's time. If you don't like something, you just say no. You get it over with. Saying no has benefited my career more than anything else. It really is. I think it's respectful. I think it's short. It's to the point. And I mean, like I said, if I didn't turn down lots of things or be told no lots of times, I wouldn't be where I am.
That's awesome. Like that's a super important lesson for everybody too. Like,
just say no.
Say no, and no doesn't always mean no. Apparently, in let's face it, the politics world.
No is just a lie in politics most of the time. Like, we're not going to do that. Yeah, you are. That's like that's a thing. But no, I mean, like, so my career really, like, and it's weird because I don't know how I got to certain places. And sometimes, you're in the middle of it just trying to find a job, and you end up in a weird place, like networking, and then you get offered. So, like, when I was in DC, my first run in DC, I did stuff on Capitol Hill, and then I did some little bit of journalism stuff. And I would hang out at the National Press Club in DC because I didn't live there, and it was cheap to hang out. It was like $19 for out-of-state members.
Mm-hmm.
And because I went to enough events, one day they were like, "You want to be young member chair here?" And I'm like, "Okay." And like literally, I was just showing up for free food and drinks, right? Like, because I was poor. And so I ended up being the representative for all media under 35 for like 2 years, and ran for club president because I wanted to audit the club because I saw how much money they were like taking from people. And boy, did that! You want to talk about rigged election? I realized when I speak about a rigged election, YouTube, it's not for you guys to get, but it's the press club election that I was in. I was blown out of the water. You would have thought that it scared the shit out of them that I would come in and audit the club. They had a Norman Rockwell. They had this massive Norman Rockwell painting that they sold for like 5 or 15 million, some crazy amount of money, and nobody knows where the money went. Really, like it was like a whole thing.
That's
really
insane.
It's like there's so much shady stuff. It's like the shadiest thing, and I wanted to audit it, and they didn't. They wanted none of that. Turns out the media doesn't want to be audited.
I can't imagine that. There's what was it you said? And I really like this. It was in one of the video clips, I think, on your website. It could have been YouTube. I don't remember off the top of my head. But it was where you were kind of like the show you did with the guy where it was almost like you were on the news.
I was on the news. Oh, Fox 5? Was it on the Fox 5 show?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Okay.
And you were like, I think it's funny that everybody takes things so seriously when we're talking about the news, but the news is media and the media is entertainment.
Yes.
Like, why is everybody taking the news like the news is still actual reported news? It's entertainment.
I love that show. That guy ended up getting me fired because he thought I was going to take his job.
Holy shit.
That's a whole thing. By the way, that's something that I know that guy's actually. So his ex is going to be in my wedding party, and when we finally have a real wedding, because we're like common law married, but like in Texas, we use yokel laws to get married where we are.
Nice.
But his ex is in my wedding party, and he was like, "That's what that dude does. Is like." When he feels threatened, he like comes up with reasons to try to like push people out. Literally, I did not want his job. I didn't even want to like do like the stuff at the local, and he's going to be at that local station forever. But it was, I would come in on Fridays and ratings would go up on the show, and it worried him.
I can imagine, like, because like what you did was entertaining and funny. Like
I was drunk.
I was sitting there watching it all day long, and I was like while I'm trying to do work and my day job, and I'm like watching this in the background stuff, and I'm just laughing my ass off, and everybody's walking by my office like, "What the hell are you listening to?" I'm like, "Oh, it's my guest tonight on the show." They're like, "Really? Like that's where you're going tonight?" I'm like, "Yep, that's where we're going tonight."
I was most of the time. So they had me on Fridays. This was amazing. I love doing this. So I was a Fox employee. Fun. And that's actually how the Trump campaign got to know me too, because I asked to do I did a segment called Take Tim to Work There, and I wanted to come hang out at the Trump campaign for a day, and they were afraid of media, and I just did a podcast with one of the former heads of comms for the Trump campaign, and they were like, "Dude, if we would have known you like the way that we know you now, that would have been awesome to come in and like fuck around." I'm like, "Well, you might have another chance, but things are very, very serious now with everything, but that's a whole other conversation." So I would go, and I did this really shitty show that I used to call "We Can't Afford the Rights to Wheel of Fortune." And so they would just bring in the people from and I think a lot of places have these like local shows where they just bring in everybody, and it was called like Like It or Not, right? And so they'd be like, Beyonce has a new album, what do you think about it? And I'm like, who gives a shit? Like, I don't care. Like, there's bigger things in the world. So that was me then. And then I'd have 4 hours off, and I'd have to come back for a show at like 11 o'clock, right? So in those 4 hours, I would either go see a movie or some combo of, sometimes I'd go up, we were in kind of like a bougier part of town. And I don't know why I'm telling you this. I just love getting this on the record. I would go up the street to the Cheesecake Factory, and you're a bourbon guy.
Yeah.
The Cheesecake Factory, most Cheesecake Factories do not sell their Bookers. Their Bookers is 14 to pour most places. I think it was 12 where I was there. And they had a Booker, so this was like 2019, 2020, before COVID really hit and we were still going.
Yeah.
They had a Bookers from 2014 sitting on the shelf, and I would go and I was the only person who would drink it. So
for $14 pour.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I would go in and drink 2 or 3 pours of Bookers and have like some chips, right? Because I'm spending the money on the drinks and nothing else. And then stumble to the studio to go do the thing, and I'd be like on and not remember anything I said. And like, so like I was on, and then I'd like afterwards be like, well, I didn't say anything bad, right? And they're like, nah. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
See you next week. But there was what was even worse. There was one time I did 2 pours of Booker's. I'll never forget this. 2 pours of Booker's. I'm walking down the street, and it was all like these like corporate, chains. So like one of them is Maggiano's is like a national chain.
Yeah.
Right? So I leave Cheesecake. I'm walking down. The manager from Maggiano's goes, Tim Young, and I'm like, hey, what's up? And he's like, you should come get a drink. What are you doing now? I'm like, nothing. So like he remembered me from TV. He brought me in. We're talking it up. I'm having a great time. I had 3 more old fashions. So I had 2 Bookers, 3 old fashions in like a 2.5 hour period. Probably another shot or something, because like we were just hanging out for a great time. And then I went to the studio and did the show. I wish I remember. I should have recorded when I was like I had to smell like liquor rolling into this place. And it was just a great time. That's and I used to get paid for that.
Yeah.
I'm in the Screen Actors Guild for that.
I mean, you even did you did Navy SEAL training. I mean, I watched you do Navy SEAL training.
Well, I did.
That was awesome.
I have gotten beat up and done all sorts of awful things. Well, because like I don't take myself seriously either. Like I know where I am, and I know what I can do and stuff like that, and I know the reach and blah blah blah, whatever. But like I don't take myself seriously. I hate myself. My parents taught me to hate myself real well, so it comes off well on camera.
So where do you how do you generate your content? You're like when you're preparing for a comedy show or something, like it just seems like it's so natural for you. Do you have to spend a lot of time like prepping and planning jokes, or like do you more just, because I got the impression, I'm curious to how much time you actually spend like prepping for this and doing this, like because it's like you get fed so much content from what's out there. It's just like you openly talk about it, and it's like maybe not that controversial, but the minute you say something about it, all of a sudden it's controversial, and now it's going to be huge content.
Yeah. So that last comedy show, it probably took me just as much time to write it as performing it. So I did 72 minutes. I cut it down to 52. And the hardest part was putting it in a cohesive flow, because it's a lot of different thoughts, and it's kind of like just piecing it all together. Yeah. So, but like, and people, I don't think people sometimes understand what I'm trying to say, because I really, even though I am conservative, I mean, I don't know that either political party matches me anymore, and we'll see where that goes, because I think I've always leaned libertarian. We'll see what happens with that.
Well, I think you kind of drew the line in the sand when you put your last book out. I mean, I hate Democrats, I hate Republicans.
Look at you did fucking research. Oh
you know what? And it's funny. And you asked me when you came in, you were like, so is this like planned? Like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, not really, but I'm going to be honest. I probably did more research just because I didn't know much outside of following your Instagram about you. You know, we have
Instagram is a bad representation.
Yeah, but we have a mutual friend, and I only got to see like 15 minutes of your show when you were here. Yeah. I had other things after doing my show here. You were out there. They were doing it out in the lounge. I couldn't stay that night. There were like storms and shit blowing in, and it was
tonight.
Like,
there's a storm blowing.
Yeah, it's you bring them when you come. I guess.
It's my luck.
It's the Tim Young storm. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I just didn't know a lot, and it was like, all right, where am I going to take this? Because this is not my. I mean, I can't even say it's not my typical podcast. I mean, like, this is what we do. We just sit down and have candid conversations with people and smoke cigars and drink, whatever, hang out, and let hopefully people learn some stuff from it. But
no one's learning anything from me.
Oh, they're definitely learning stuff. Like, I mean, I'm sure my nephews are going to be hitting me up later and going like, can we talk to him on the Creators Factory and blah, 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 blah. It's coming. I'm
told I have to do everything now, so I'm in, whatever it is. I was told the fiance is the manager of the, sorry, I have to get used to saying the wife. I'm so used to saying fiance when we go to things, but really we are common law married. And I have to say that on the podcast so that it holds up for insurance.
There you go. You're covered.
Publicly saying it, yeah. But like, so people sometimes miss the nuance of what I'm saying, and it's interesting because I think that the media has become so black and white, and they feed things to idiots. Yeah. All the time. That like, so in my stand-up show, I talked about the trans thing, which to me, I don't care what people want to do. If you want to pay me $2 million to be on a Bud Light can and wear a dress, I'm in. And I think that Yeah, I'll just say that with like a straight face. Like, I don't,
You
I don't
said
care.
that so nonchalant. Like, yeah, if you want to pay me $2 million,
I don't give
I'll
a
wear a
shit.
dress, I'll wear whatever.
Yeah.
I doesn't
You know what
give
I
a
mean?
shit.
I mean, like, come on, they got fat chicks in Gatorade commercials saying they're healthy. Like, come on, I'll put on some spandex and get in there too. Like, you know, it's everybody's going to be. I don't care. If the money's right, I'm in. But there was a piece that I did that really threw people, and they were like, "You're pro-trans and you hate conservatives." I'm like, no. So I did this bit, and I fleshed it out. We cut it a little bit because we were actually worried about how it would be received.
Yeah.
I'm tired of, there are a lot of conservative commentators that talk about Dylan Mulvaney the way that I talk about frozen yogurt when I'm on a diet. You know?
This dude.
I'm like, you know, I just think about it. Like, it's kind of like, you guys are really obsessed with, like, you know, like, I don't, as a Mets fan, I hate the Phillies. I don't obsess with the Phillies fanatic, right? It's not like, but the Phillies are who puts the Phillies fanatic out there, and like that's part of the organization. It's part of a bigger thing. I can't hate Dylan Mulvaney. I just can't. I don't care. Dylan Mulvaney's getting paid good for whatever he or she decides to be. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's like but if you're shaking your ass in front of kids, I got a problem.
Yeah.
If you're telling me what I can and can't say, I have another problem. That's it. That's where it begins and ends with me.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like, for most part, like, I really don't give a shit. Like, gay, straight, whatever. Like, I have friends in every category. Like, it doesn't matter to me. The only time I've ever made it an issue, or I take issue with it, is it's the one that wants to push things so far just to see how uncomfortable they can make you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if your purpose is to push your agenda only to see how uncomfortable you can make somebody else, I take huge problem with that. And same thing with what you were saying about kids. Like, I got in a huge debate recently with a friend, with a friend, and it was like, I don't have kids. I don't have kids. They have kids, and I made some comment about the whole trans thing and all that, and I was like, my only problem is like, you made a post about this recently about like, they're not out like going to senior citizen places and like trying to promote whatever.
Yeah, no.
Why are you promoting to young children that like haven't even experienced life, haven't gone through puberty, have no idea? I mean, most guys, like, I think it's funny, and I tell friends all the time, or the younger generation, or my nephews, like, you shouldn't like try to get married or like do things until you're like at least 27. You turn 18 and you think you have the world figured out. Then you wait to turn 21, and you turn 21 and you're like, oh, I can do everything now.
Yeah.
And then you graduate college or you get into the professional world and you start doing things and you're like, oh, I have it figured out. Then by the time you turn 27, you realize you still don't have shit figured out.
That's true.
So why are you making like huge life-altering decisions, you know, anytime before that?
Yeah, no. God, I didn't have my life figured out until I was like 20. So I was valedictorian in my high school. Again, sounds like I'm bragging all the time. I'm really not. This is for a point. I was the first person in my family to ever kind of be identified as smart. And my family came over. They came over around like the 1930s.
And you're from Baltimore, right?
Yeah. So hood. Literally, we were the white family in the hood. That's a big part of my stand.
You were that privileged guy from Baltimore.
Yeah, we were all super poor in the same hole. And so my parents didn't know how to raise me because I outpaced them at math at like 10. Mm-hmm. Like, and they were hardworking, good people, but it kind of fell apart later on in life. But like, I went to law school. They wanted me to go to med school because that's what the logic should be, and then I went to law school because I didn't want to do medicine. Yeah, and that's the only reason I went to law school was because my parents told me, you're smart, so you must do this.
You need to be a lawyer.
Yeah, and so until I was like 26, 27, when I graduated law school, I had no idea what I was doing. I should have been in stand-up like 5 years beforehand. I mean, granted, the law degree has helped me a lot. It's helped me in policy and stuff like that. But like, I should have never done that. I think I'd be much more successful. I mean, my wife is like, she created an incredible influencer program. Has been incredibly successful. She did that at 20 without going to college. And I'm like, nobody should go to college. I'm so like anti-college. I'm so anti-establishment at college. And like, you should just refer to things as government school instead of public school. It changes the whole perspective. I don't know. I'm going on a rant here. You can stop me.
That's fine. I actually totally agree. I didn't go to college. And I think our education system is so outdated and useless that, I mean, I learn new shit every day. And like, you have to interject and get involved in social media and all these other things to learn and the world just is different today than it was when all this curriculum was written.
I wouldn't be me.
Can we update this shit? Like,
I wouldn't be me.
Kids have iPads in schools and stuff now. Like, I think about the teacher that was like, well, you're not always going to have a calculator in your pocket. Well, bullshit. I sucked at algebra. Like, I was great at geometry, but I sucked at algebra, and I can't tell you any time since I graduated high school that I've ever used algebra. And I'm in construction. I deal with numbers, estimating, math, all the time. I don't use any of that shit.
I'll one-up you. By my senior year of high school, I was in a special class, like an advanced placement class that did multivariable calculus. I could do multivariable calculus by hand, and I was the top of my class with that. Why the fuck? Why? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I literally, I didn't use regular calculus ever.
Were you going to work for NASA? I mean,
unless you're like
shit.
actually like trying to figure out how to like land the moon rover.
Yeah,
or
let's
whatever,
go work
like,
for Elon or NASA.
But like again, like why? Like what I really appreciated about a law degree though was that it was like if you learn A applies to the real world. Like when you learn criminal law or when you learn how things are supposed to go, like that there is one-for-one applicability of that education that I have, which is much more valuable.
Go study case law, like see how it applies, interpret it,
and how the world actually functions and what's going on. I mean, like one of the big topics right now. Here, let's just go into a big topic: the Tucker Carlson. You following this Tucker Carlson thing?
I don't a lot. I hear more about it from my in-laws and other people. I follow my select news sources. I can't take the news for anything more than being entertainment and profit and propaganda. So I selectively choose to get my news how I choose to get my news, and I stay away from most of that shit just because it drives me up the wall. And I don't want to turn on my TV and be depressed because I'm hearing about how many people died, got killed, OD'd, all this shit.
During COVID, I just literally went on the road. Like I realized that nothing was stopping you from going on the road.
Yeah.
And so I went and traveled the country for 10 months and just had a great time. And I got
That's
paid for
awesome.
it. I did reporting on it. What was I talking about though? My brain was somewhere else before that. I had a point.
Tucker Carlson.
Tucker Carlson. So a lot of people are like, oh, Fox is trying to stop his First Amendment rights and he should be able to do this and that and whatever. No, Fox paid him a ton of money. There's a contract involved.
Yeah.
And what Fox is doing is a little bit dirty because they're going to ice him until 2025. So like he's going to make his whatever it is, $20 million a year or whatever, doing nothing because whatever handshake deal or whatever they may have done to pull him, whatever decision they did to make him pull him off the air, they've decided to pull him off the air, but they're not going to not pay him. Yeah. So in his contract, he can't come up with a competing product, even though he's not on air.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh, they're trying to stop his First Amendment right. No. He has an entertainment lawyer. He has an agent. He has, a team around him, a very brilliant team around him. He's a very smart guy. They paid him a lot of money so that might actually happen. I mean, if you play baseball, say for some reason, like...
guaranteed contract.
Yeah, so say you're like Mike Trout, right? Like he's still a big guy, right, in baseball? Yeah. They decided to just pull him.
You didn't go like Pete Alonso? I mean, I figured Mets guy you were going to like go full
I've kind of given up on baseball, honestly. Even though I'm wearing like an old Orioles. This was a giveaway at the stadium years ago. But they could pull, even to their detriment, they could pull their star player off and bench him. Yeah. And there's nothing that player can do about it. They can scream and yell, but they can't then get up off of, like, Trout's what? Is he still an Angel? He's still an Angels, right? He can't go off the Angels and go play for the Orioles just because they benched him. Or he can't go start his own league. He just can't because he's still getting paid. And he's still under contract for that time, which sucks because, look, I like Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, I used to work for the man at the Daily Caller. Brilliant guy. Have nothing but good things to say about him. But it's not against his First Amendment right what Fox is doing. And if I'm Fox as a business, I don't know why they took him off air, but they have a right to stop him from doing another show on Twitter. It sucks. I like Tucker Carlson. And like people don't understand in the black and white realm of facts now and how things are presented in the media that there's this middle ground where like you may not like what's going on, but your guy signed a contract for lots of money. Now, if there's a loophole in the contract where he can do a show on Twitter, great. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing his commentary regularly, but like, I don't think he's going to win that because again, he's paid a lot of money to not have a competing product against the company that is still paying him. That's what the law degree teaches
That's
me.
wild, man. That's wild.
It's like bad news, right? People don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Sorry. Like,
yeah, but it's just though, and I love the whole like we can't agree to not disagree, and like can't like express an opinion without all of a sudden being hated or trolled.
Oh, yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, all that. I can only imagine what the trolling you get is like.
I don't pay attention to it anymore. In 2012, I wrote a book. I wrote 2 books. I wrote a book, 2 ebooks.
We're getting the 50 Shades now. I can't wait to hear this story. All
So
right,
I did
awesome.
Romney and I did Obama. I did 50 Shades of
Shades.
Romney. Here's a hint, they're all white. And 50
So I have a
Shades
really
of
good
Obama.
friend I want you to meet at some point. Brad, I'm going to get you on the show with this, I think, hopefully. He gets kicked off. I think he has like, I don't know, I'm going to say like five different profiles because he gets zucked all the time. But the last time he got zucked, they literally told him, we will unzuck you if you delete this page. And his page was, and I don't know where he came up with this, but like you guys would be like best friends, I'm sure. It was, I was anti-Obama before anti-Obama was cool.
That's what the page was?
That's what his page was. And they want it gone so bad that they like, I mean like, and he gets zucked all the time. It's awesome.
That's amazing. So when I wrote that book, I mean, I've always leaned conservative, and it just in my policy and whatever. And I've always been a Republican. We'll see how long that lasts. But I wrote a book that questioned whether or not Mitt Romney was a conservative, let alone a Republican. And you would have thought that I said F Jesus. Like, you would have thought that I, like, went after, like, the absolute fake. I was called everything. The hate mail, like, poured in. Like, more so than now. And I think our side, well, my side, I don't know what side you're on, but, like, the conservative side, I think it's nastier. I mean, I just get death threats are yesterday's news from the left. But, like, our side says everything nasty and tries to drag you even worse. And so I was dragged for so long, and it turns out I was right the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
But, like, I literally laid out his policy and how he had flopped on every policy just to become electable in certain places.
Yeah.
I was right.
And how'd you roll that into 50 Shades of Obama?
Oh, no, they were running against each other. So I did a breakdown of Obama's shitty policy and a breakdown of his lies, his shitty lies, Romney's lies. And so I just said, basically, we don't have a choice in this election. And so they both did pretty well. And, again, one side hated me, the other side hated me. And you don't see this in this black and white presentation of news all the time and how things have to be and how basic everything has to be and how stupid people are becoming. They can't see that maybe everyone is bad, or there's some sort of nuance that shows that everyone, there's a gray area. There just always is a gray area.
Yeah, that's what blows my mind. You can't have, like, it's you're one or the other. You can't disagree with this. It's like, well, no, I can have a healthy intellectual conversation about this.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, I don't agree with either of you. And like, I'm tired of having to pick the best of 2 bad decisions.
Yep.
That's what I'm tired of in news, politics, all of that. Like, it's a one or the other, and it's well, what if I don't agree with either of those things?
Yeah, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, that's just unheard of.
There's, I want to give a middle finger to everything now. I think it's why the no hat probably comes in.
Yeah,
comes in a lot.
I mean, I think my favorite. Just the other day, I was just having a conversation with my wife about this. The other day, you posted, and this eats at me all the time. We went to war over a T tax.
Huh?
Yet
2%.
T tax, but you can tax us 40% of our earnings, and nobody really gives a shit. That's just okay. Like, cool. Take our 40%, and what are you going to do with that? And
yeah.
Where does that all go? And if we ask questions, that's.
I mean, it's crazy now because we're looking at moving because we want to buy property and we don't want to buy it in Texas because of the property tax here. I think is just stupid. It's, you never own your property. Like, it's BS. So, like, many states have lower property tax. Many states. And so we're weighing, like, I really want to move to Kentucky, obviously, because I have connections with the bourbon industry, and I think it'd be really fun. And doing kind of micro-influencing with that.
Yeah.
Because I own all of the Let's Drink Bourbon properties. I also own all the Let's Smoke Cigar properties, so that's another one that's kind of fun.
Nice.
Let's Smoke Cigars and Let's Drink Bourbon. and let's drink tequila. I have a lot of stuff, like a lot of like influencer stuff, and I'm trained in bourbon, and I'm friends with a bunch of guys in the industry. So I think moving to Kentucky would be beneficial for that. And I love Kentucky, and there's very, very safe places there. Or as some people have told me when I talk to like liberals about it, they're like, it's backwards there and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, it sounds great. That's where I want to be now. I want somewhere that liberals call backwards, that never want to show up.
I want to be in the backwards country.
Yeah, that's where I want to be. I think that's fair. I want to be in a backwards part of the country. If they think it's a terrible place to be, that's where I should be.
I mean, we're getting pretty close to becoming a third world country anyway, so I mean, I don't think, I mean, there could be worse options. I mean, I personally always will have a home in Texas, and I think it's great to be here. Like,
I love Texas, but it breaks my heart when, like, I'm looking at property and I can go get double the size with lots of land in another place and not worry about some tax assessor coming along and upping the value of my property to the point that I get a $10,000 extra bill every year.
That's true. Fortunately for me, my wife's a realtor, so I get to stick the pit bull on him and let her go fight all those.
Also, we learned a little bit about our current, where we live right now. Yeah. My landlord's upset about his tax. He owns it's not a duplex. It's like 3 townhouses in a row. I don't know what you call that. But so like we have a nice
3 townhouses in a row. Okay.
Big ass building with like 3 townhouses.
All right, I got you. So it's condo.
Yeah, because we have a 3-building. No, we have a 3-bedroom, 3-bath with a garage. Every place is 3. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And he's like, yeah,
triplex.
There you go, triplex. Is that
go triplex. Yeah.
So we're talking about it. He goes, no. I told him like the value shouldn't go up on this property because we got those power lines back there that give off that like humming sound sometimes. And like I'm like, what? I'm sorry, what? He goes, no, we got the high tension wires back there. Probably not good for
causing cancer and everything else.
He's like, so the price shouldn't go up, and I'm like, missed that when I moved in. I didn't like catch like, and so obviously my time there has come to an end. But so we're trying to figure out where to go, and like, so I want Kentucky. I think it's awesome. I think that's where we're headed. But Tennessee isn't bad either. So, but you have to weigh all the numbers.
Tennessee. I've spent a lot of time in Tennessee. I think the only place, probably 10 years ago, you would have talked me into Nashville, maybe.
I would never move to Nashville.
But Memphis, to me, is like the biggest shithole in the world.
Okay.
One of them. You couldn't pay me enough money to live in Memphis. Memphis is right there with, I lived in Wichita, Kansas as a kid. It's right next to that. Like, you can't convince me or pay me enough money to live there.
My favorite bourbon bar in the country is in Wichita. I'll tell you off air.
All right.
Because it's the best hidden gem in the country.
All right.
Literally. I got the last pour of Booker's Rye from this bar for like $20. And they let me keep the bottle. We'll just put it, that's just the tip of the iceberg.
All right, cool.
Anyway,
I'm down with that.
Chattanooga wouldn't be bad either, but I went to Memphis a couple of years ago. Memphis reminds me of the bad part of Baltimore, and you're looking for the good part of Baltimore, and like you're driving around, and you're like, surely there's a good part, and it just never comes. You're just like, you keep searching, you're like, there's got to be a good part here, and like even the little tourist area, I'm like, I'm not going to that fucking tourist area, no. So, I can shit on just about any state. I've been to the lower 48 and pretty much every major city. And in 2020, I did 35 states and 80 cities, so I got to really dig even more.
You did some travel.
I did, and so I really got to know a lot of cool stuff. I used to love Minneapolis. I thought Minneapolis was my favorite, had my favorite restaurant, my favorite cocktail bar in the country. And then COVID shut everything down, ruined everything. And then George Floyd, the protests, burned the buildings to the ground. So as if my favorite chef leaving wasn't bad enough, he wouldn't have had a place to work anyway. Good time. Yeah. I love this country. Wow. Third world country now.
Yeah. So do you perform at college campuses?
I do.
A lot? Mm-hmm. All right. We've got someone asking here, one of our listeners.
What's that like?
Curious about his denigration of colleges when that seems to be where he makes his money.
It's not where I make my money. I make my money in a lot of other stuff too. But I go in. So I'm one of those people that still doesn't get protested. I don't know why. I'm not big enough. Like, I don't say, and I also don't say, like...
Are you working towards that goal or something?
No,
or?
I don't want that.
Okay,
no.
I'm about to say, we don't want no negativity.
But you know, I almost feel like sometimes it's set up. Like, who's going to protest Ben Shapiro? Like, who... Like, when you're on a college campus, you should be getting drunk. Like, even if, like, you're, like, in some, like, a wacky person in one of the wacky clubs, you should be getting drunk and going and getting laid and stuff. Like, who's lining up with signs, making signs, I got to go protest Ben Shapiro or, like, Matt Walsh? Like, I mean, where are you in your life? That's a thing. And that's why sometimes I wonder if they're not paid actors or something. Because, like, you notice how all those clips always go viral? Like, has there ever been a speech that, like, a Matt Walsh or a Ben Shapiro or like a Charlie Kirk has done where there isn't somebody who's there that's like, sir, you've said something about trans rights, and I think there's more than two genders. And then that person on stage then is like, you're just a stupid college student, which, by the way, if you look at it, it's like a 40-year-old beating on an 18-year-old. Come on now. But those are like the viral clips, and it's like, so you're telling me that somebody on a college campus waited 90 minutes through a Ben Shapiro speech so they could have their chance to like beat this guy like intellectually? Come on. I just don't like, and so like I'm not in that. I don't want to be protested. Obviously, I don't care. But if you do, you're a loser. Like you're a super loser. I just couldn't imagine the person lining up to do that.
Yeah.
I say that, and I'm actually speaking at the Yale Political Union. I was invited to speak at the Yale Political Union, which is this like 100-year tradition at Yale. In September, I'm going out, and like they had like John Kerry has spoken there, like multiple heads of state have spoken there, and like it's really cool. So I go and speak for 20 minutes on whatever topic. I have to figure out what that topic's going to be, but it's going to be something fun. I think it's going to be something about how like the media has ruined everything, and like we'll let everybody argue, and then the kids debate with you. I think it'll be super fun. So
yeah, I mean, just get a good debate going, and see what everybody wants to say.
But you see what I'm saying with like the theatrics of this stuff, right? Like who is lining up, number one, to like make a sign to protest these guys? But number two, like, who's got the time in their day to sit around for like 90 minutes and then like get up and try to like own Matt Walsh at a thing? Do you even know who Matt Walsh is?
Yeah, I know.
No offense. No offense.
Yeah,
I don't want to
know who he is.
But like, who's showing up to be like, I want to argue gender ideology with like, and then just both sides. Again, both sides. Here's your nuanced thing. Not black and white. It's gray. Matt Walsh is, what is he, my age? Like he's 40 or something like that?
I would assume he's in his mid-40s, late 40s.
Great Just for Men advertisement, that guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that beard is unfailing. That is just black. He paints it himself. Just the viral clip of a 40-year-old beating up an 18-year-old intellectually, that's just weird. Like, doesn't it, like when you look at it from the 50,000-foot level, doesn't it bother anybody?
It is weird. Like, I think so much of it is weird. Like, where a lot of that comes from. Like, I mean, what's something you put out there that like you didn't think was like polarizing, or I don't know what the right word is right now, but like
Newsworthy
that just like blew up into like something crazy, and you were like, how did this get taken to that?
I do a bit on this. I was getting on the subway one morning in D.C., and there was a video of Justin Trudeau where it looked like his eyebrow was falling off. And I was like, it looks like he's got fake eyebrows or something. I said, like, it looks like Trump browbeat him and his fake eyebrows are falling off, right? I get on this train. I'm on the train for a half hour. I get off. It was like 11,000 retweets or something on it, and there were 80 international stories written on it. Disparate. I was fact-checked.
You were fact-checked over saying he looked like Trump beat his eyebrow off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looked like he was browbeaten by Trump because his fake eyebrows falling off. But that was, you want to talk about like crazy. That was like insane. And like I was getting, because I have a Google search for myself because I have an ego. The Google alerts. And so it's like I'm getting stuff from like India and like Thailand and like every European country. And like, yeah, apparently he doesn't have fake eyebrows. It was just me spreading disinformation. How dare I? Because I like found a stupid video and like posted it up, and it went ultra viral, and I'm like, oh man. Like I don't think about this stuff when I post it. Like, and the stuff I do think about, it fails. It's like a total flop.
Yeah.
Like anytime I put any kind of effort into anything, it's a total flop.
Yeah, but just the random, I post this, like, so you got to tell a story, like, I want to know about this, but how did you end up getting beef with Cardi B?
I don't know.
Huh?
He's got beef with Cardi B.
I don't have any beef with Cardi B. She hates me, though.
Yeah.
So
Cardi B's got him, like, blocked and stuff.
One morning, and I do a bit on this, too. One morning, I got up, and I was taking a dump. And I tweeted, it was when they were banning Dr. Seuss books.
Oh,
when they were
yeah.
banning Dr. Seuss books.
That's so, another crazy fucking thing that just, you're going to ban Dr. Seuss books?
Yeah.
Like, what's next? The bear? What was it? The Rumpskin? What was that called?
Rumpelstiltskin?
No. What was the
Berenstain Bears?
Bernstein Bears. Same type thing. It's crazy.
He did have some kind of racist stuff in his books, but they shouldn't be banned. It was a different time. Grandpa, it was a different time. So I tweeted something like, it's crazy that, and this was the day after the Grammys, right? So she had a big performance of WAP at the Grammys. I was like, it's crazy.
So it was right when WAP came out?
Well, she had just performed it at the Grammys.
Okay, at the Grammys she performed.
So, like, I mean, this is like a peak of her career, right? She performs her song, she's winning awards, whatever, you know. And I, like, tweeted on the toilet, like, it's crazy that Dr. Seuss books, that the lyrics to WAP are more acceptable in schools than Dr. Seuss books.
Fair statement.
So I don't think anything of it, and I don't have notifications turned on my phone.
Yeah.
And turn it on, and that tweet exploded, and I couldn't figure out why. And finally, one of my friends texted me, because I also don't follow Cardi B. Crazy. Because I don't. Turns out I don't really care what most celebrities or politicians say. Actually, I think I care less what politicians say, unless they're like actually going to do something. And she had quote tweeted me 3 times and went off about it. I don't even remember what all she said, but she lost her mind on that tweet.
Did she rhyme awesome. When she hit you back at least?
No,
was it lyrical?
No,
it wasn't lyrical.
I got to go find this. Like, I want to see what Cardi B actually said. That's hilarious.
But it's like there's articles written on it. And so I do a whole bit on this where, like, imagine being the kid who went to school for journalism who worked hard in New York City to end up working for the New York Daily News. Like, worked her ass off. Like, this girl worked for years. And I do it better on stage. And, like, the peak of your career right now is you got an assignment to write about a tweet that I wrote while taking a shit. Like, she worked her whole career, went through journalism school, went to debt, worked in New York City, and finally got that dream job. And her dream job,
this Yale graduate just, like, wrote a whole thesis on your tweet that you wrote from the shitter.
I mean, the fact that there's media coverage of that, I'm like, cool, whatever, do what. But
like, you strike on something that I never thought about, that I wondered about. Like, if you've ever heard the artist Megan Thee Stallion. Mm-hmm. Have you ever listened to Megan Thee Stallion songs? Have you seen
Thee Stallion?
Megan Thee Stallion.
First Friday.
So we already know, and she also is the second half of the word "WAP." But Ellen DeGeneres had Megan on her show, and a little girl came out on stage, and that was her. I mean, this girl had to be 5 or 6 years old, and that was her dream to meet and be like Megan Thee Stallion. And she embraced it. Everybody stood up and they clapped, and I'm like, I know, like, Megan loves stripper poles, shaking her butt. If you listen to her lyrics, like, come on. And this is where the everything is like, kids are numb to whatever. You're talking about no, you know what? It wasn't Megan. It wasn't Megan. It was other big booty. Well, they're all big booties. Come on. Nicki Minaj. It was Nicki Minaj. It wasn't
I remember that.
It was
Nicki
Minaj. Yes. And it's like,
she's no better.
If you, like, literally took and printed out all of Nicki's lyrics, and like you said, would she be in the curriculum in a school system as in this is our new role models? I'm not dissing Nicki. I mean, it is what it is because it is entertainment. Yeah. I get that, but where is when you're 18? It's like when I was in high school, 2 Live Crew was it. NWA was it. And look how bad they were censored.
But you know what the difference was then, too? Let's be real. NWA actually were changing culture and doing something. They weren't saying things to be shocking. They
2 Live Crew went all the way to the Supreme Court for their lyrics and everything. So I'm not even mad at that, but I'm just saying it's like what they were fighting for, but they weren't being invited on shows so little kids can be like, I want to be just like them.
Nor would they have done that. Nor would they have wanted to say, like, I want little kids, because they still respect people. It's the same thing, like, again, what drag performer wants to shake their ass for a child? What adult, like, my stand-up, I'm not trying to get into, like, preschools to do my stand-up, right? I'm not going in there or giving my, like, because that's weird. Right. There's still a respect for children, and all of this, there's still a respect for children, especially from those guys back in the day. But, like, I can't even, like, think about how far, like, culture has shifted, right? Because, like, now everything, it's, like, hypersexualized for the clicks and it's done on purpose. Because they're not writing their own shit. They're not NWA. They're not. They
got ghostwriters.
Yeah. It's like they also imagine the meeting, right? Hey, Cardi, we've got some new lyrics for you here. We want to try out this. It's a song called "Wet Ass Pussy." What do you think about this one? Why don't you read the lyrics there? Just, oh, I like this. This is good. Because that's how the meeting goes, right? Probably because their agent first, they're like, Cardi, we got a hit for you here. It's called "Wet Ass," but we think this is going to be a big one. And she goes, oh. Because it's formal. They're not sitting around, like, coming up with this stuff.
it's like I worked in radio for many, many years, so I'm living my life with edited music. But I'm like, it's even to the point now where the edited lyrics, it's still like, damn, just because you don't say the word, the insinuation
it's just like
is still
watching
there.
like certain movies. Like we had this conversation with when we were talking about the movies. God, why can't I think of it right now? We had a big conversation about movies and horror movies, and I was like, you can't. Like, why do you, like, Last House on the Left? I'll never watch that movie again. It was absolutely terrible. The rape scenes were horrific. Like, you don't have to show certain things. Like, implying is enough. Like, where did we get in today's world where... I mean, I remember when, like, you watch The Simpsons. I remember when he said, eat my shorts, and that was bad. Then all of a sudden you could say bitch on TV. But...
Shit is accepted now.
Yeah, like the transition of what is acceptable and it's not. But
it's cute to hear a 3-year-old cuss
from,
on
like,
Twitter.
Implying was enough. Like, everybody knows where you were going with that. Like, I don't, unless you're some sick human being, like, you didn't actually have to see that. Like, implying was enough. Like, you know, the girl with the dragon tattoo movie, all that stuff. Like, yeah, good for her. Glad she got her revenge. But I didn't need to see that. Like, you could have implied it and not shown me that.
Because
like,
it doesn't count
like watching that stuff
unless you push the envelope. You go back to the old school movies where if my 9-year-old, I wouldn't let him do it, but if a 9-year-old saw the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they'd be like, that's TikTok.
Jesse.
You know, that wouldn't even be no big deal to him. Now they have to go. I seen this movie the other day because everybody was saying like people were passing out in the movie theaters. It's called The Terrifier, actually part 2.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I got it here free. Let me look at it. And when it was over the top gore to the point, and then I'm looking at the review, like a dude literally pressing his thumbs in somebody's eyes and splitting his skull in half with his hands, and you see everything. And then I'm looking at the reviews. It is horror art at its best. I'm like, what the? Really?
Like,
wow.
Why do you, like, I can't watch shit like that because, like, when I sit there and watch it, all that goes through my mind is this individual that created this is really disturbed. If they didn't have this outlet, what would this sick ass individual actually be doing?
And then people get pissed off when somebody mimics it in real life.
And who wants to watch this? Like, what are you escaping from? What are you like? I can't. But I don't even know where to begin with that.
Where we live in our society and in our country, we don't want to censor people because of the right of the ability to express
freedom
their
of speech.
art.
Like, I get it, but I do want to say we've got some YouTube chatter here that I want to address, just because it's the first time since like we had Frenchie on here that we've got this. We got somebody from Uganda. We got a Ugandan on here. That's awesome. We got
I remember when the only person I knew from Uganda was Kamala.
And we've got...
Not Harris.
It's Trump 2020.
His last name was Harris.
What brand cigars? So we'll talk about it for a minute. I was originally smoking a Partagas 160.
Partagas.
Partagas.
Gotcha.
Partagas. Same thing. Yeah. Tim is smoking a Principal CCCP.
Love it. It's
a really great cigar. He likes bold Maduro flavored things. He's a Gotta Fire guy. Gotta Fire, great cigar. But it is very bold. It is a guy that drinks black coffee on ice. Like, that is your thing. It's bold, it's flavorful, it's rich. Little peppery for me, although I love the CCCP that Darren Chaffee put out with Principal. Those are awesome. I mean, I love that. Like, I'm glad you started there, because I was really having a hard time pairing it for you and like trying to go there. Because if you smoke this first, it's really hard to go to something else from a Gotta Fire.
I can't get through a full one of those, and that's really that.
Yeah, because it's so bold.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that is so rich. And then I forget what this is called. This is Principal's newest one. It's the limited edition Gold Band, I think is what it's called. These are super smooth. I smoked one earlier today. It's kind of creamy. It's really good. Some people have been hitting us up and asking us to do a cigar review or talk about a cigar. I might start throwing in like a live here and there on the channel and, hey, this is a cigar of the week, or this is what we're smoking, or maybe it's what we're going to smoke on this show. I really don't know. I try to pair the cigars with what my guests like. So it makes it kind of hard to just be like, hey, unless both of our palates are the same and we're just both smoking the same thing. But I'll try to be better about that because you guys are asking a lot about that. Bourbon, in case anybody's going to go, I started off with the Four Roses.
You started off with a Four Roses barrel pick that's like amazing.
Yeah, it was a barrel pick. It's the Bourbon Enthusiast pick. It's a 9-year, 11-month OBSF. It was really good. I'll throw it up here. We killed this. You guys have seen this on the table for a few weeks.
I'm going to smell that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to this is I'm not drinking tonight, but.
Yeah. It's a really good one.
God, I wish I got in on that. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, that is awesome.
It's a really good pick.
Yeah.
And then I just brought, because I haven't drank rye in a little while, and I'm a big rye guy. And I saw this sitting on my bar, this Wild Turkey Rare Breed. It's a barrel proof rye. It's only like 112 proof, and that is a sweet spot for rye if you like ryes. A lot of barrel proofs get way up there, and that kind of like takes it over the top for me.
Fantastic.
You're a big bourbon guy too. We were trading some bourbon stories earlier, and
I pulled a picture up to show you that people can't see at home.
I don't get that lucky. Like, I just yeah. God.
So what this is actually a...
Yeah, for those of you that can't see this, this is a very old, dusty Weller's.
So it's before they even like took it out. This is before they partnered with Stitzel.
Yeah.
And so it's an empty bottle, but I was able to get it. It is a Weller's distilled dry gin from W.L. Weller and Sons. And I dated I think this is from like 1908.
Yeah.
But that is one of my favorites. I have really been I collect bourbon, antique advertising and cool stuff, and I finally just found a prescription bottle of rye from Prohibition era. Finding a prescription bottle with the label still on it is very impossible. And I finally got one. This guy, I play around on eBay, and a guy had it for $10, and he's like, it's been sitting on a shelf. And so $10 with $10 shipping, and I've been looking for this thing, and I would have paid a couple $100 for it.
Yeah.
And so, because prescriptions are easy to find, because the papers are easy to find for that. But a lot of people, when they would get the prescription bottle, they'd either toss it or they'd take the label off of the bottle. So finding one with the label still on it, like, I screwed.
You collect a lot of cool, interesting things.
I do.
Let's dive into that a little bit. Like, what all do you collect? Because like you were,
what do I?
We waited till we got on the show. Like he almost didn't light a cigar because he really wanted to like pop off the ruble.
Yeah, I have antique government documents. That's one thing I have. I have tons of decanters and stuff. One of my favorite decanters I finally found at an antique mall somewhere in Texas, and I've had one. So the Jim Beam Statue of Liberty that's about 2 feet tall.
Yeah,
I had one, and then they had one still sealed, like never touched, at a antique mall in the middle of nowhere in Texas.
Have you opened it?
I was. Huh?
Have you opened it?
No, not yet.
Oh.
But they only wanted $50 for it, and I was like,
what?
I get all this stuff for nothing. Yeah, I find this stuff for nothing.
I'm not that lucky. Like I have friends that go to the estate sales and stuff. Like I bought a cigar ashtray off eBay, and this guy reaches back out to me and like meets me in Denton, and I buy all this badass. You buy all this badass dusty bourbon all the way back to the early 1900s.
Well,
like,
apparently he had a expert sell off his bigger bottles, his larger bottles, and he made $40,000 on it.
That's absolutely insane.
God knows what he had. He probably did have everything because his father, going through his father's collection, his father passed away. His name was Tom, and I'm like cautious. Like I kind of want to only drink Tom's stuff because we do have a couple of like collector's bottles. We got some gold Maker's Mark bottles and a couple of different things, but I only want to drink them like at like kind of important things because it's weird. It kind of puts things into perspective. So here's a guy's entire bourbon collection. He passed away, and his son has no appreciation for it, other than trying to make money on it.
Yeah.
And so I kind of want to like honor it because like if he died and these bottles were still sealed.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's got to be special occasions like that. That to me is my favorite time. Like I have. out of my collection of bourbon, I have like 3 bottles that I won't just drink with anyone. Yeah. When I met my older half brother, just my older brother, I met him 5 years ago. Just happened that my adopted brother that my dad searched his whole life for happened to live in Frisco.
Wow.
Adopted in Ohio at 3 days old, and happened to have lived within 5 miles of me since I moved to Texas. The very first day I met him was the day before my birthday, and he brought me a bottle of Basil Hayden's. I still have that bottle. The only person that drinks that bottle with me is me, my brother, or my younger brother. Right? If we're together, we can drink that bottle. I have another bottle that is dedicated to police, military, firefighters, stuff like that. If you served whatever, cool. I have 1 or 2 bottles like that if you're at my house and you served whatever, cool, we'll drink from that bottle. But other than that, my favorite thing to do is someone to come over and go like, I've always wanted to try that, or I've always wanted that. Because the stories that end up coming from that night or that shared experience is like, Pops has a great saying about cigars is like, was that the best cigar I've ever smoked? No, but that's the best cigar I ever smoked at this situation or in this scenario. It's about that shared experience. It's the stories, the laughters, the memories that come from that. So I absolutely love that. But yeah, I think for you, knowing that you just bought this awesome piece of a collection from a kid that's, father passed and was very passionate, obviously, about bourbon with what he had, and that stuff, he didn't just, have it to drink it. It was obviously saved for special occasions and such events that to continue to honor that and do that, I think is absolutely awesome.
Oh yeah, no, it's an important too, because it's like an energy thing that comes off of it too. I did the whatever the podcast was called here before. It's now defunct, right? Because they replaced it with the podcast, whatever it is.
All right, so yeah, you're talking about cigars, cigars and guns.
Yes. Oh, was that Cigars and Guns? Is that what I did? Love that guy.
You did Cigars and Guns.
Love that guy.
Those guys have rebranded.
Yeah.
They rebranded, and it's the Bad Words podcast.
Yeah.
And they are now on Rumble. They're going to be going live tonight. First episode on Rumble tonight. Now that you told me all about how big of a pain in the ass it is doing the Rumble thing,
you'll learn.
I'm looking forward to running over there and watching them lose their minds, pulling their hair out, trying to get that off the ground. I wish them the absolute most success with that, though.
And I'm the one person they need probably help from tonight, but
yeah.
So I have a couple of bottles like that that I won't touch. I can't tell you who one of them came from because I was sworn to secrecy, but I have a bottle from an original batch of a very big national brand.
Okay.
And it's hidden. It's in with my common stuff. So that just in case somebody ever I don't know why. I just think that somebody might come in and know what they're doing and then they find it. But that was a fun one.
Would you drink it with them?
I did not. It was sent to me during COVID.
But would you drink it with them? If somebody found it, it was over hanging out with them? So do you have your birth year bottle and all that already?
No, I don't have that. That's not a thing for me. But I do have. I did a podcast with Bill Samuels Jr. from Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
And he cracked a bottle of 46 while we were there and signed it for me and dated it. And that one I won't touch. And there's a bottle I did the podcast with Wes Henderson. I did. Actually, Wes was the co-host with me who founded Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
And we went to Bourbon 30, which is Mattingly Bourbon. You ever had anything from Mattingly where they handwrite the stuff? So he and I went through
Jay Mattingly has a lot of really good stuff. A couple of the groups I'm in are really big on Jay Mattingly stuff.
We made a blend. We made a rye blend together.
Nice.
With the Jay Mattingly guys and us. And so we call it Mattingly's Angel. And there was originally only going to be 3 bottles, but the Mattingly guys made a fourth for themselves. So they have 2, Wes has 1, and I have 1.
Okay.
And I don't know what I'm saving it for, but I have that. And I have a bunch of really fun stuff that I would share with people, but those are the ones that I probably wouldn't touch. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I wouldn't like crack. Probably the decanters. I have so many sealed decanters now from Jim Beam from back in the day. They've become easier to find. I shouldn't say they're easy to find, but they're becoming easier to find. I found.
So this is the part where I think you're an asshole, like because you like somehow find these.
Well, Al found one. Al found one. We were at a antique mall in Oklahoma. And they had these goofy decanters, these Jim Beam decanters, and it was like the 9th annual Poodle convention in Houston. And there's a poodle on a space capsule that Jim Beam made. And I pick it up and I go, this is full. And I like take the thing off and the tax stamp is still on, it's still sealed. And I take it up to the front and they're like, that's still full, isn't it? And I go, yeah. And they go, well, it's probably undrinkable, right? I'm like, yep, that's right. That's why you can sell it to me. It's undrinkable.
Yeah. Dirty bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's awesome.
I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have about 15 sealed decanters from before 1980. Now.
That's awesome. Awesome.
And that's before we get into the mini bottles that I just got that I got to pop.
Yeah, that's really cool. Mini bottles are super cool. Those you seem to see those like dive in and out. Like those pop up every now and then. I have a buddy that's trying to move a few of those. Like he's got some old ones. Those are, I would have a really hard time with that. Like it's super cool to have and look at, but I would drink it. I would have to try it. Like I would not be able to let that just sit there and look cool. They're like, I can let a cool tater bottle sit on my shelf and just be cool with that. And like, I've got Deadpool, I've got Batman, I've got, so-and-so, and it's really nothing special. It's a tater bottle, but I like it. I have little toy action figures and stuff like all through my, bar, but that's what I'm talking about. I told you I'd tell you this story. Yeah.
Before you do that, this is the pile. I just got 2 shoe boxes full of mini bottles.
That's what I was saying. I don't think you guys can see that, but
it's I know. I was going to show you though personally. So it's
about 100 little mini bottles, like so the ones you guys get on airplanes, and these are all like pre-1980s, so they're like Old Crow, Granddad 114, all the old good shit that's like in a mini bottle, like super cool to have.
Yep. So that's like, so tell us the story. Sorry, I cut you off because I wanted to show you.
Oh no, you're good.
I'm like I'm so excited about this purchase.
So you were telling me how you still have and collect action figures.
I do.
So
hold on, wait a minute. I didn't know this.
Yeah.
Huh.
You were trying to get us on time, and then I messed it all up. And Biz actually had us ready to go before 6, and I will own this one. I made us the couple minutes late.
No, we were on time.
Yeah, well, it was close. Either way. So
yeah.
God, I can't believe I'm going to tell this story on the podcast. Hopefully my mom's not still on here or watching this. So I came up with the greatest, I have to tell this story to tell the story about the action figures. So my father had this insane collection of Playboys, right? Like the back of his closet had 2 like 5 or 6 foot tall stacks of Playboys.
This guy did too.
Yeah.
So he had the bourbon, he had Playboys, and he had stamps.
Yeah. So my dad had every Playboy from the time he was in the military on. Like, I mean, this shit went back. Like,
he had a subscription.
But he had everyone, even from when he was in the Army. And when you hit puberty and a boy and you go searching through the house and exploring and you find your dad's Playboys. Well, I used to be so meticulous of like he had so many, like if I took one out, he's not going to notice that one issue from 1976 is missing out of there right now, right? As a 12-year-old boy. Well, I got greedy. I started getting like 4 or 5 at a time, and I was putting them between the mattress on my bed. Like, so, and what I was...
get less hairy?
What I was doing, though, was I was cutting out the, like, center folds.
What is wrong?
And cutting out pictures. I was selling them at lunch to buy baseball cards.
Murdered.
I was selling them. I was literally cutting
the reason your father kept them,
putting them in my trapper keeper,
being an entrepreneur,
And I was at the bus stop, at lunch. I was selling centerfolds.
You were peddling porn.
I was peddling porn.
Okay.
So I was selling this. I was buying baseball cards. Well, so I go for a sleepover at a buddy's house, and my dad goes to sleep in my room because he's snoring. Whatever. Mom says like, you need to go. So Garrett's at a sleepover. I'll go sleep in his bed. My dad comes down, and mind you, apparently I had so many under there that like there was a hump in the bed. Well, my dad like wakes up in the morning and tells my mom like, my back is killing me. Like, you got to go buy Garrett a new bed. Like, he has the worst mattress I've ever slept on in my life. Like, this is terrible. So my mom goes upstairs. My mom, you know, being conservative and everything, is just like, okay, well, she'll flip my mattress.
Try to save a couple of bucks.
Flip the mattress. I'll bet his mattress needs to be flipped. We've never done this. We haven't done this since we moved here. So my mom... Yeah, my wife's like, don't do it. Yeah, I already did it.
Too late.
It's happening. So my mom flips the mattress. Well, guess what my mom finds? She's like, oh, my dad's Playboys are like under my mattress. So I come home and my mom's like, I get set down in my room with my mom. She's like, so you want to explain this to me? I don't know where I came up with this genius ass response, but I was literally like, well, yeah, I mean, I found these magazines in Dad's closet of all these naked women, and like him looking at other naked women's cheating, right? And she's like, I was like, so I've been cutting out all the pictures of the naked women, and my mom's just like not what she was expecting to hear from her 12-year-old son, right? Like, so my mom's like, your dad is gonna kill you if he ever finds out you did this. Like, okay, like, we're gonna handle this, but like, don't touch your father's magazines ever again. I was
so what'd she do? Did you just put him back?
No. So then we were getting ready. Every 3 years we moved because he worked in the government. Mom's like, we're getting ready to have a garage sale. We're gonna I'm gonna make your dad sell his collection. So my dad is literally selling a Playboy collection in the garage sale, right? So he's got like, I mean, there are huge boxes of this filled up with Playboys. And I remember this old man came up and he's like, he sees them, and like my dad had it in the corner with like a sign like 18 and up or whatever on it. Like, I mean, you could only do this in like the early 90s. Sell Playboys at a garage sale, right?
I've seen them at antique malls, but yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, like, this is happening in the 90s. Yeah. Like, he's selling Playboys at a garage sale. So this guy comes up, he's like, man, I'll give you like $500 for all of them. My dad's like, you know, he's like negotiating with the guy. Well, my dad eventually sells this guy. And like, my mom's like, well, the moving trucks show up tomorrow. We're moving. Like, this guy's not going to have time to go through there and find all the ones where you cut out. Like, I mean, I sold the Cindy Crawford Playboy for like $125 when I was 12 years old. Like, every dude in my school wanted that Playboy. I mean, it was Cindy Crawford. I mean, I bought this like super badass top stadium club baseball card set with that. Like, I was so proud of that. Like, but like, yeah, so they all got sold. We moved. So if dude realized that like half those magazines had been like shredded, never found out because we moved after that. But during that move, this is where I was actually going with the toy story. I had 2 boxes in the back of the garage. Like, we had this curtain on the back of the garage, right? That was like stuff that was going to the movers, like, do not sell, do not touch.
Yeah.
Well, the Playboys obviously were like kind of in this corner. Well, the 2 big like wardrobe boxes behind that were my toys from my childhood. All my Star Wars, all my G.I. Joe, all my He-Man, all my Thundercats, all of that was in these boxes. I mean, I had all that shit. And I even had the old like Castle of Grayskull and all that, and Skeletor like talking to the mic thing. Like, it was badass. The guy saw that when he was digging through it, opened one of those boxes, saw the toys, and my dad was like, and he saw those, he's like, hey, if I buy the Playboy collection, how much for the toys? And my dad was like, oh, well, I mean, those aren't really for sale. He's like, no, how much? He's like, I'll give you $250 for each box, so like $500. And my dad's like, shit, I can make you $500. My dad sells it to him. I come home, my dad's like so happy. He hands me $500, and I'm like, how did I make I didn't have that much shit of mine in the garage, so I was like, how did I make $500? He's like, no, this is your cut. I sold all your toys for $500. I was like, you did what? I was like, that said do not sell. That was behind the curtain. He goes, yeah, I know, but this guy gave me $500 for all your junk toys from when you were a kid. I was like, do you realize that those toys were worth, like, even back then, they were worth like $2 or $3 grand? I was like, I even had like starting lineups that were like unopened that I just never opened because I collected baseball shit. And I was like, man, I was smoked. I was so mad. I was like, but then I also knew, like, I can't go to this neighbor down the way and be like, yo, I want my toys back. Here's your $500, because then if he finds out about the Playboys, like, I'm double screwed. So, like, yeah, that's how I lost all my, like, childhood toys.
It's karma. That's actually karma. That's a direct karma right there. Your dad did what you did to him.
And didn't even know it.
Woo! Did your dad ever find this out? He did.
No. Never. And he died when I was 24, so.
I sold my G.I. Joe collection before I moved here. And that was very.
I have all of mine.
I'm talking about original ones that I bought.
Oh, I don't have the big ones. I
have the little ones, 3/4. That's all I collected. I didn't care about that's back when toys actually, G.I. Joe and Transformers looked so real. I actually almost had an actual Optimus Prime with trailer. Didn't have a box though, and the guy got rid of it. But my G.I. Joe collection, it was ridiculous. 3 Sky Strikers, all that. I mean, and I just wanted as much money as I possibly have so we can relocate to Dallas, and I got rid of everything.
I forget what I bought. I got a bag from, it's called 2nd Avenue in they're on the East Coast, thrift store. I bought a big bag of those 3 3/4 inch guys.
Yeah.
And I paid my rent that month for $4. I sold them because they were doubles of what I had already, but they had a couple of really rare ones, like the mail away. I forget what they had. They had the fridge and a couple other ones that were like the mail away.
The fridge, man, refrigerator Perry, G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
But I flipped the bag for it was $4. I flipped it for $1,100.
Yeah, that's about
Man.
So yeah, that's why I love thrift stores. I thrift store all the time. Like everything is thrift stores with me and stuff like that. I always, and I'm about to start selling all my stuff now because it's house time and my collection has now shifted to bourbon. And so like I have bourbon and all the bourbon advertising and stuff like that. And the house is going to be centered around that. Luckily, I'm marrying the right person, and I have no reason to keep the toys anymore. They just don't do anything for me anymore.
No. That's what it was with me. I got to the point to where I had to let it things.
I did that with my autograph collection because to me, like autographs, like. But my dad bought most of these stuff like QVC and stuff like that. Like I still kept the balls where we went to spring training and stuff like that together, but balls that he bought for me that were Christmas presents, stuff like that, like I got rid of that stuff eventually. I will not sell my baseball card collection. Like that is one thing that is still completely off limits. Like that sits in my closet and
mine's gonna go.
Gotta have somewhere to live.
I have probably 750,000 baseball cards. Like I'm not.
We should talk. You want to buy mine?
Yeah, maybe. I'll trade you bourbon. I'll trade you bourbon.
Actually, that's it. You know what?
I might trade you bourbon.
I'm not even kidding you. I have massive tubs of shit that I don't know what's in them. There's stuff I know what I have. So one of my favorite.
I have massive amounts of duplicates, picks, all kinds of stuff. I will trade you for baseball cards. My wife is going to lose her mind right now on the comments. Watch.
I'm looking right now to see if she's going to say something.
I'm willing to do that because you could get rid of a ton of. I have boxes and boxes of baseball cards in the back, and you can just have them. Like we'll figure something out.
Are you into anime at all?
No.
Not into anime.
No, okay. I'm not that geeky. That's not my level of geek.
Okay.
I went Star Trek. I never went Star Wars. I never did Lord of the Rings. But I do.
But you're friends with Evan.
Huh?
Evan has like one ring to rule them all.
Anyway, I can't sit through this.
There's my one Evan joke for the day.
But I have. I mean, like, dude, we should talk baseball cards.
All right.
Because I also have. I have autographs from everybody too. But my favorite. So I rank my top finds from Salvation Armies, and I think one of my top finds ever. My buddy, he was like it's just like an actor in Austin. And he's like, and he grew up in Alabama. And he goes, dude, I just got the Michael Jordan AAA card, the Barons Michael Jordan card.
Yeah.
Because they got all the sets in at the Salvation Army. I go, what do you mean they got all the sets in at the Salvation Army? He goes, they're like 99 cents a set for like the team sets that were like packed from like, what was that, 92 when he was in the... And I go,
yeah, the Birmingham Barons or something like that. I have that set.
So I go, who else was 92? And I go, oh, Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez and Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
So I got the Tampa Yankees. I got Derek Jeter's first baseball card. Like in probably it could be graded. I don't even know. I bought it for 99 cents in a set. And it's like his single A Tampa Yankees card.
Yeah.
That's like worth at least 300. But if it's graded, it's like through the roof, whatever.
Yeah.
It's worth. But like there's stuff, I mean,
those minor league cards in the late 80s, early 90s, just for whatever reason, like they started pumping them out like Upper Deck, you know, like they start coming out because like Atlanta had the hottest farm club system in the world at the time, and the Yankees wasn't bad. And they started pumping that stuff out like crazy.
I have all the Mets autographs. I have all sorts of. I have just like I have crazy stuff that. So when I worked at Social Security, I wrote policy for Social Security for a while, and I had lots of free time on my hands because nobody works at Social Security. I collected all the 500 home run hitter autographs except for like Babe Ruth and is it Lefty Grove? Was that another one?
Yeah.
Those are the two that I couldn't get because they were just so expensive.
Yeah.
But everybody else I got, and like I got like. One of the old QVC Steiner Sports, Ted Williams, Mickey Mantle signed photos. I got that for like $100 back in the day. Like, I mean, I just like, I cleaned house on autographs. I have everything you could possibly want autograph wise. Like, it's just like, but the baseball cards, dude, I have so many that you'd probably be angry at me about how I've stored some of them because I'm angry at me about how I stored some of them. But I just like put them all in. I mean, literally, you could probably get a steal from me, and your wife will be very upset. But like, if you want to like trade for bourbon, and I'll just give you like tubs to go home with, you could fill a car with tubs.
I'm down.
That would make me very happy because I'm going to have to move all this stuff pretty soon, and baseball cards are heavy.
Did you read Sarah's comment?
Don't you?
I don't know what you're talking about,
dare?
Biz. I don't know what you're talking about, Biz. I'm paying attention to my guest and talking and not really reading comments right now.
Because I have a section. I just went through all of the boxes. I have my entire garage is a storage facility right now. We don't have a car in it. And I have gone through and sectioned out the stuff that I want to keep and the stuff I don't want to keep.
Yeah.
It's very
It's a
little
pain in
that
the
I'm gonna
ass.
keep.
Until 1996, I moved every 3 years of my life. So I know what it is like to be told, like, you get this many boxes or you get this much space for your stuff. And everything else, you got to decide. Does it make the cut or not? And, you know, honestly, I've been trying to do that more. My younger brother moved to California for, like, his first time really, like, completely be on his own and became, like, this minimalist. He now lives in Hawaii. And when he first moved to Hawaii, he moved out there and lived out of a van. So he even became more minimalist. It was like, I get 5 T-shirts. I get 2 polos, 3 long sleeve shirts, 1 dress shirt, 2 hoodies, 3 pairs of jeans, 3 pairs of shorts, 2 swim trunks, underwear, socks. And like, he compartmentalized his life and was just like, this is all I need. Like, everything else really doesn't matter. And I found a certain beauty in that. Like, going like, I don't think I could do that. Like, that is, like, so extreme of anything I've ever done in my life. Like, but I try to do that now. Like, I've been bad about it lately. Sorry, Adrian. I had to, like, cut down on my cigars and guns T-shirt subscription because a new T-shirt every month didn't allow me to abide by my rule because for a while there if I bought a new T-shirt, I had to get rid of one. So I would donate one to Salvation Army or whatever, you know, fill my bag, like clean my closet like 3 times a year. Well, I couldn't do it anymore. Like, I was getting a new T-shirt every month, and I was like, I'm not ready to get rid of that. Like, I've already done the weeding out. Like, I can't find logic or reason to do this yet. Like, so, but I admire what he does. Like, he still to this day, even though he's not living in the van anymore, he has his own place now, but like, the amount of simplicity he can have in his life, to me, is it's a beautiful thing, but like I don't think I could do it, like not to that level, like even if I had to.
The other side of things that I don't know if we're going to get rid of them or not. So every day after law school, I used to go to the Salvation Army coming out of Baltimore City, and it was buy two get one free records, and they were $1 a piece. And then half price days was buy two get one free for what, $1? So I get 3 for $1. Dude, I have every original pressing of everything. And there's stuff that I would just buy, and I don't know if it's Joni Mitchell or somebody, but like the wife is going through it, and she's like, "That's worth $200." First she's like she's like, "Oh, that's a good blah blah blah," and I go, "That's like an original pressing, you know." And she's like, "What?" And she like pulls it out. She goes, "This is worth like $250." Like one of them, she's like, "This is like $250. This is $200. This is," and we're like going through them, and I just have piles of records. And so we're gonna go through and probably I have some really cool ones. So I have like the original Johnny Cash, Folsom County Prison.
Yeah.
I have like all like the cool. I have like every Beatles, every blah blah blah, like Rolling Stones.
All right, I want to talk to you about vinyl too before you make that move
but
on
like
vinyl.
I literally have that's more expensive.
Especially if you have like CCR. Like I
do.
love
No, I
CCR stuff.
There's no doubt that I have them. I have literally everything. Records are the bane of my existence because I have at least 1,000 records, at least, and moving them. They're heavier than baseball cards and books, and they're not coming with me. Al's gonna have to pick what she wants, and then we'll go from there because I have a couple that I want, and that's it. And like, because I have like the original Ghostbusters, and I have the goofy stuff too. But I have singles for like, man, if you know a gay dude who's into like Madonna, I have like all the 12-inch singles, like all the stuff that was at the radio station. There was one time
I might be able to help you with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I went to Fort Lauderdale once, and when I went to the Salvation Army, that's right by the airport, I learned that I brought 80 pounds of records home with me because I had to weigh them to get them on the plane to get home. But I went there, and they had just gotten an entire old radio station's collection in. And I sat on the floor at the Salvation Army. I was there for 3 hours. I went through everything and just pulled anything that seemed like it was something. And so I have everything. And I have sealed stuff. I have signed stuff. I have literally, and the most I ever paid for a record, I think, was $2.
See, I'm still mad at iTunes because I had a friend that I used to work with that his cousin or uncle was a top 100 DJ for 5 decades. And he knew how into music I was. So he was like, go buy a hard drive. And this was like late 2000s, like let's say 2007, 2008-ish. And I came over to his house, and he's like, cool, give me the hard drive. Gave me the hard drive. He's like, I have my uncle's collection on this one computer. He's like, this is every top 100 from like 1950 to like 1990.
That's
like,
awesome.
He had 40 years of top 100 from his uncle or whatever that was a top 100 DJ. And he downloaded it all. And I can't tell you how many hours loading that into iTunes, got it all loaded, bought some bullshit like side program that would like I could import the album cover, because like when you did that back then, it was all wonky because you didn't buy it through them, so they really didn't want it in their system, but they wanted it, but they might not have had the rights to like sell you that. So like being able to tie the album cover when you had your first iPod, it was like impossible. But I bought this program, did it, spent all the time. Then at some point, my wife lost a bunch of music at the same point too, that like as soon as you clicked some kind of formatting thing or it upgraded to a certain iTunes, all that shit that I had like uploaded went away. It was like, where did that all go? Like that was my music. Like that was mine. Like it was on your platform, but that was my music. Like where did that go?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
By the way, the other side of this too. So we're saving. We have the money for the house, but we're saving more for the house, and I'm putting money away because I'm going to build the lounge. There's a bottle that I want to sell that we don't sell bottles other than in Kentucky.
Yeah.
But if I were to, I can't justify cracking my Pappy 23 that I've had for years. And so it's not the $50,000 version. I know that it's like the year after, but like I've been sitting on a Pappy 23. I think it's a 2013.
2013 Pappy?
I think so.
Yeah, that's a good one to have.
But I just like I will never crack it. I can't justify drinking something that expensive. I also don't like Pappy 23. Somebody gave it to me, and I'm like sitting on it. So,
because
you know anybody? It goes to the house fund.
You think it's a 2013?
I think it is. or 2016. It's right. It's after the because there's
so
that real big
it's
spike.
not Sitzel-Weller, or is
No,
it Sitzel-Weller?
No, if it was, I would have had that on a Tiffany's auction or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you're
It's
right there.
so
You're
if it's
right
not-
around
if it's
the
not-
line.
Maybe it's 2016. It's one of those years because it has the laser etching on it, and I looked it up because when my friend gave it to me, I'm like, there's no way. It was a big person.
I have some guys I can put you in touch with that can help you.
But I just want to, because that's like the only one I want to sell. I could care less about the other ones, but I will never touch that because I don't like that juice enough. It is not that bottle is probably 6,000 or 7,000 or something like that. But like,
you should drink it at your bachelor party.
No, there's nothing more. That
with a
do
Mike
you
Tyson
drink
tattoo on your face.
Do you want to drink that at the bachelor party, or do you want to basically build out your bourbon room? Like, I could probably get the entire infrastructure for the perfect bourbon room
That's
done.
true. I would do that.
Off of that one.
I would
Yes,
do that.
To
I would
have
do
the
that.
construction guy. Because what we're going to do is, and she has not been to the, I've been to the library. Obviously, everybody's been to the library at Bardstown.
Yeah.
But
she's going to flip when she goes in there and sees what you have decanter-wise and what's in there. And if your decanters were full, she's going to lose her mind.
Well, so here's the thing. The old Crow set, we have
but
the
you might
chess
be able to
set.
sell them your boxes. You could probably sell them your boxes.
I don't know that I want to. Because I have a problem with bourbon. But that chess set is going to be the centerpiece of the room. Somehow we're going to do that. The old Crow chess set is going to be the centerpiece of the room. I will say this. When I was going through that guy's collection, the Dead Guy's collection that I got a bunch of,
She laughed. Dead guy.
She laughed and I laughed because there's like really rare stuff that was in there. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I have that. I don't need that. And that's actually what got the price down on a lot of stuff too, is because the guy knew that like, I was like, I don't want anything Canadian. I don't want this. I don't want that. And like, there was just stuff that I was like, nah. And there was like fancy stuff. I'm like, I have that. So and so I let the guy price it, and like he gave me a fair price. He actually, I mean.
So you'd have to look up the dates. Like I'm not going to be good on the dates on this, but I will tell you, like, since you have this connection, if he has Crown Royal, and I want to say it's from like.
He doesn't.
If he did, or Canadian stuff like that, they got bottled through the same people. Early 80s to late 80s Crown Royal, they bought from Julian, they bought his dad's, like, they bought like an entire warehouse. So like when my dad and my grandfather were like, oh, Crown Royal in the late 80s and stuff, and like they were drinking it like, you know, like this is the greatest stuff in the world.
It was.
It was because they were drinking Pappy blended with Canadian rye and stuff. Like it was Pappy blended in.
There's a chance my mini bottle is from that. That's the only one that I got because all the other stuff was modern. So it was his drinker stuff. So the stuff that I got was, other than the stuff that I found in boxes, including that Michter's from 1976, which is probably the most valuable, other than the gold Maker's Mark VIP stuff.
Yeah.
There's nothing really. Like the Canadian stuff was his drink.
So what is your bourbon? What are your top? I'll do this because I hate when people do this to me.
Yeah.
What are your top like 3 favorite bourbons? Like not going like dusty or old stuff. Like what are your 3 dailies or your 3 regular you like?
I hate saying it because it sounds like I'm a simp because the stuff is now hard to get and it was my favorite shit before. So like Weller Antique.
107, yeah.
It used to be $23.99 a bottle or less.
Eagle Rare was like $15.
I'm not a huge fan of Eagle Rare, but I do have 1.75s of it. I knew that I had a feeling they were going to start playing the allocation game with it at some point, and so I started buying it. So I have like 14 regular bottles and then 2 1.75s that I sit on. I'll never need to buy Eagle Rare again in my life.
Yeah.
I have some barrel picks of a Weller Antique that I'm afraid to touch because it's the best juice I've ever had in my life. It was a liquor store in D.C. got it in, and they were selling it for $99 a bottle back in the day. And I bought 6 bottles of it then. I should have bought more because it literally sat on the shelf at this liquor store forever. I should have just bought a case and got a case discount. So that McKenna 10 is always a decent one.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to mix it up for you because like I'm trying to think what else I like pull up. Oh, here's the one that like...
like 4 Roses was the only one like I ever chased a vertical. I had to have all 10 recipes.
Have you ever had Jim Beam Master Distiller?
Yes.
I have 3 bottles of that.
That's awesome.
That's absolutely like that's the one that I drink for special occasions. But like I still like. I have killed that bottle at at bars. We were in Mobile, Alabama, and that was at a place that made like subs. It was sitting on a shelf where they make subs, and I go, "How much is that a pour?" They go, "Nobody ever asks about it. $8 a pour." And I was like, just give me the bottle. I'm going to kill this bottle.
I want to go traveling with you. Like, your traveling experiences are awesome.
Are we out of battery? Are we dying? Al and I got in a fight. We were so drunk on Master Distiller Jim Beam that night. Like, I mean, we killed that bottle for $8 a pour. Like, they were
I'm going to have you over the next time, my buddy. I'm real good friends with Alan Bishop from French Lick.
Yeah.
And he sends me his wild experiments or gives them to me when I come visit him.
Yeah.
And he sends me some, like, really wild, crazy shit, and it's awesome.
I mean, that's my stuff is just like I get to experience some fun stuff. The only bottle I don't have in my collection that I'm going to get this year because I have 2 liquor stores and 2 liquor stores in a major bar that are going to save me the bottle. But Rock Hill Farms, it's the only one that's I've not been able to find on a shelf anywhere, and I don't pay above price for them. But I'm so tired of looking for Rock Hill Farms.
I think you're going to be what is the Saddleback? I think it's Saddleback. Same thing. It went from being like $36. I think it's up to around $60 now.
Yeah.
But it's the same juice. Just
it
comes from the same warehouses and stuff. Like Rock Hill Farms is like
I've killed that bottle. So the last time
it's good, but like again, I'm glad you're not like chasing it because I would tell you like
I look for it. If I find it,
you'll be disappointed. It's like what's the Caribou one?
Caribou Crossing?
Caribou
like
Crossing.
Shit.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like
but I got a bottle of it for MSRP. And
and it's like, what do you want to do with this? Like, it's terrible.
We talking about Saddleback whiskey, like these guys with the pig?
No.
You need to send me what it is.
I'll send you a picture of it. I have one on my bar.
So the last time I found Rock Hill Farms, it was in an Irish pub in Louisville, and they had half a bottle for I think it was $12 or $15 a pour, and I just bought it for the bar. And I sat there and drank. I had 3 pours of it, and I bought the rest for the bar. I just passed it around. And so they were so amused by it, they gave me, I think I ended up, my tab was like $40.
Yeah.
And I killed it. I mean, but I've seen it back in the day, I used to see it for $3.75 a pour when I would go to certain places on Happy.
Yeah.
And that's just, I really like that juice, and I think their new distributor, the new distributor has Eagle Rare, Buffalo Trace, and Rock Hill Farms.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be out there more. But that's like the one. But my top 3, I should pick something else that's more like pedestrian instead of the Jim Beam.
Well, you like Booker's.
I do, but it's got to be the right one. 2019 3 was my favorite country ham.
Country ham's so good.
So there was I have a story about everything.
Did you have the what's the tobacco one?
I got the whatever.
Right on that. That's really good too. If you like country ham, you'll like that one too.
I have the whole set of the 2015 because they had a gift set with 4 bottles in it.
Oh, nice.
And I went to last year. I lived in Louisville for a month to work on this podcast. God bless. That's going to come out on my taxes, and I'll probably get audited because the whole month is a write-off. But I went to this liquor store in Jeffersonville, Indiana, and they had the 4 set from 2015 sitting on a shelf. And I go, how much is that? Just for shits and giggles. How much is, whatever it is. And the guy goes, nobody's ever asked. Let me see. And he scans it and he goes, $1.99. It was 4 full bottles from 2015. I'm like, give it to me.
Yeah.
So, and it's in a monster Booker's box. It's like they're all in one box.
You got the rye in there?
No. Rye was a separate because that was Booker's last.
Yeah, that
deal,
one.
right?
I would still love to find one of those.
I killed 2 of those bottles though. I found one. I killed one up in Wichita, and I killed one. And I have both bottles, empty bottles. There was a barbecue place in Louisville that had it sitting on their shelf for like $45 a pour. And I'm like, how many pours are left? And like 1.5. I was like, can I just get and they just gave me a pour and a half. It was like 3 ounces of it and the bottle to go.
That's awesome.
So like all the stuff, I've really lucked out, and it's just all the traveling that I do. I think is you go around and I look for like good bourbon bars, but I don't look for good bourbon bars the way that normal people do. I think where you like look for the expensive stuff and the bougie stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, I look at pictures, like so I like look good bourbon bar, and then I go to the $1 one, and then you see like what the bar, what's on the bar, and you're like, that place, and that's the place where usually the GM, the owner, or the bar manager buys the stuff because they know it's good and they want to drink it when they're hanging out, and they don't mind if you show up and you're not an a-hole and you appreciate it as much as that. They'll sit around and drink with you, and like they'll have a reason to bring it down. There was a bar and I forget the name of it. It was in Savannah, and it was like a college bar, but it was an amazing whiskey bar. They had like a huge wall, right?
Yeah.
And I go in, and it's a busy college night, but the bartender was just amused, and the owner was there too. I come in and I go, you guys are making like, what is it, vodka sodas for everybody? And like, do you have this? And they go, yeah. And they're like, do you want to play around? I'm like, sure. So I'm looking at it. They had fucking E.H. Taylor Garden of the Gods Amaranth. Or what? Grain of the Gods Amaranth.
Yeah.
For like $20 a pour. They pulled it down.
$20 a pour?
Yeah. They had a shelf of just E.H. Taylor, and it was the rare stuff.
That's
it was
insane.
What's the one? Rick House, is it Rick House C or something was one? Like, dude, I went crazy there.
Warehouse C,
there you
Tornado, bottle.
So I had literally every rare EH, but that wasn't it. I mean, we had the whole, they had everything. And the bartender and the owner were so happy to bring it down. I think my tab, and again, I didn't want to get drunk. You don't get drunk when you do that. I'm like, let's play, and then I'll hand it out if there's somebody nice. There was a nice older couple. I got them real drunk. Because I'm like, hey, listen, you don't mind if I take a sip off this and then pass it down to you? Because I don't want to get drunk. I want to enjoy this stuff. I think my total tab was like $100, and I must have had $1,000 of pours.
Yeah.
I mean, no
easily.
brainer. I mean,
that's what you were drinking? Yeah, easily.
Yeah. So, it was just, that was a night. That was when I was traveling the country when COVID stuff started to just open up right after COVID.
Yeah.
And I lost my mind. I mean, that was a wild night. I gained 25 pounds that year. Earned every pound of it. I mean, it was just amazing. The experiences I've had, and I've had just about everything that I want. And then I go to dive shitty liquor stores and go get everything and whatever else. But I'm talking your ear off, but no,
you're good.
I can go bourbon for a while. But
so let's talk about your comedy special. You just recorded one. I'll go ahead and drop this out. So if you guys go watch on Rumble his comedy special, that is the place where we're looking at doing our soon-to-be-announced music addition to Common Sense. Mutual friend of both of ours owns the place. I think it's a really cool venue. It's a cool place to do something like that. Bring back the garage band type days. Tell us a little bit about your special and what you plan to do with it.
Well, it's up. They actually featured it on Rumble. They did follow through on that. I've seen by about 200,000 people. It was their third comedy special ever. So they had Russell Brand and oh my God, the guy who played Goat Boy from Jim Brewer, and then me. I was their third comedy special, so it was kind of an honor to be their third comedy special ever there. And I mean, it was just kind of I hadn't done stand up in a while. I've done a lot of speech hybrids, and I wanted to do a full stand up special, and so. We just taped a special, and it was really fun, and it's free, so you guys can go check it out. And
I was sad I couldn't make it to that. That was
it would have been a good one. And I made old fashions for everybody there too, by the way.
I heard you got a lot of people that I know really hammered.
Yeah, I had 3 handles of old fashioned that I pre-made and pretty solid. And I smoked them. It was smoked old fashions. I found a new way to kind of play around to pre-smoke the stuff and have the smoky flavor in it. And
nice.
So I spent a lot of time making those drinks, and I brought in a bunch of. I got everybody loaded, and we just had a good time. Really, it was a fun one. So.
Plans for the next one already, or are you gonna ride this one for a little while?
I could do another one. I'm kind of content where we are right now, and there's a lot of other stuff coming up, but we'll see where it goes. I think there's going to be another one, and I really liked where that was. I'm charging next time. I'm not going to do it for free. I did it for free for everybody this time to be a nice fella. But thank God. And so it was a gift and a curse, right? So I had 20 people canceled last minute, within 2 days. Thank God they did, because we wouldn't have had seating for everybody.
Yeah.
It was totally packed, the place. And so it was...
and how many people do you think actually were there?
70.
Wow. So you filled more people than I thought we could actually put in that place. So
yeah, it was.
I was thinking comfortably we could put about 40 people in there.
No, you can do a lot more than that.
All right.
And I think we could have had more people fit in. It just would have been uncomfortable. But yeah, so that was a good show, and it's worth going to see. I hate watching myself. I edited myself, so I hate.
Isn't that the worst? Going back and listening or doing that.
Hate my voice. Hate my face.
I found this AI program that I've been using to help edit stuff. It'll literally in 30 seconds break down, timestamp your podcast, go through here, listen to everything, does everything for you for $50 a year.
Brilliant. I need to know about it.
So awesome.
We need to have a long talk after this is done here, which we need to wrap up because Al's going to kill me if I'm in here much longer.
Yeah. No, we're almost
45. How have you done this? We're on radio. I do 3 hours on radio. I don't know how we've done this. But what was I going to tell you? My brain is shot. We need to talk baseball cards. Get rid of my baseball cards.
Bourbon.
Records.
Let's for any young comedians that are
don't do it.
Venturing out there, like give them some advice. Tell them what to do.
Go get a real job.
Go get a real job.
Go get a real job. Give up now. Because you can't speak freely anymore for a lot of things unless you like get a niche. Like I have my niche, right? So I'm political, and I get to go be in safe areas where like I go to specific clubs or specific things, and like I don't have to worry about being heckled by. I think
that's crazy. You said it's a safe area. I'm like, we steer away from politics so much just because it's not safe. I could view or say something about politics, and man, certain clients and stuff would see that and like, man, that would shut shit down.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's not a safe place because so many people have been taught that we can't disagree and still be friends. Like, we can't have a healthy discussion about something and be like, cool, man, like, I don't agree with you, Tim, but like, I can understand where you're coming from. Like, I don't see it that way, but like, like I'm still cool. Like, I don't understand that. Like, you explained it to me really well, but like, I still see it differently, like, and we just be like, cool. Yeah. All right, cool. You know what? You and I aren't going to talk about that.
Getting me to talk about politics when I'm not paid to talk about politics doesn't happen anymore. I've learned if there's going to be an argument, I better be getting money for it. That's the wife's deal too. She's like, we're not going to be stressed out if you're not going to do it. But like, it's really interesting, and I think a lot of lefties are shocked when I start talking about like police and stuff like that. Because I grew up in Baltimore, was trained as a public defender in law school, and my opinion on police lines up more, I think, with lefties because of what I saw with the Baltimore Police Department than the right. I don't want to defund them ever. That's stupid.
Yeah.
But when there are bad things that police do, police are bad. They do bad things. Everyone does bad things. And it's just interesting to see like the clickbait on both sides when that comes up. And like there's always the middle, and nobody ever goes with the middle. But it's interesting that like usually both sides end up agreeing with me when it comes to like awful things cops do. Usually both sides.
I just can't see why we can't say that like with a lot of things, whether it's any of the things we've talked about, politics, religion. I mean, you could go so many different directions of this. Mm-hmm. Why can't we at least all agree on some level that there's things that everybody disagrees with?
Yeah. And just let it go?
Or just let's not let it go, but like, how about we just pick something that's like a little less and like work on fixing something that's a little less? Like actually make some progress on something. Instead of just getting caught up in the like whole conglomerate of everything. Well, and not stripping it down a little bit and just.
Well, we've been trained that by people who want to make money on us, that we've been trained to argue back and forth, and that one side is bad and one side is good, and the best way to fix the other side is by paying money or putting eyes on the side that agrees with us on TV or on the internet. That's the clickbait society that we've created. And so that's really what it is stupid people have fallen into the clickbait trap of like everything is the worst. There's nothing in the middle. And if you tune into the people who agree with you, then that's good. And that's kind of like, that's how it's just all marketing and money. Mm-hmm. And everybody in the middle gets fucked, and all the stupid people fall for that trap. And it's just very important to realize that, like, ultimately, I don't think many people disagree on much. I mean, everybody wants to get along. Everybody wants everybody to kind of live their lives. Everybody wants to be free to do whatever they want. And if you start from that point, and like everybody wants to be left alone. So you start from that point, that's that's probably 95% of this country.
Yeah.
The other 5% that are pushing on the extremes on both sides, the other 5% are the lunatics that are trying to cash in on it and are either trying to cash in on it or have been so suckered in that they're sheep that follow along and scream everything they've been told to scream. I mean, I just watched a political conference, a conservative political conference, that seems like they're trying to push like a level of Sharia law that I was told was bad by conservatives a couple of years ago, where like women shouldn't vote, and like, I mean, that's like the new angle from the right with a lot of stuff. It's like women shouldn't vote and they should just be at home making babies. And I'm like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
like nobody thinks that. Like that's so backwards. Like my mind is just, I'm so blown. My mind is so blown by like what people are willing to say for money now. And I think it's the donor class and these old people who are trying to come in and like get people to say awful things, and they'll dance for the money.
Yeah.
So, but there's a push from the right to repeal the 19th Amendment. And I'm like, what is wrong with you people?
Yeah.
Like, that makes no fucking sense in any world. So, you're going to talk about how great certain women congressmen are, and then at the same time say women shouldn't vote. It's like, shut up.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna move to I'm gonna go with like 2 questions tonight. I'll do our staple, but I'm gonna also ask you two. Do you have kids?
No.
I didn't think so. All right.
If
you had a child and you could leave them with one piece of advice for today's world and moving forward, what would that piece of advice be?
Had a kid to give a kid advice right now?
Yeah. You had your own child, like young adult, coming into the world.
Don't pay attention to anyone else's career. It's the same advice that I said to that I've been given by many people. Never pay attention to what other people are doing to make their money. Do your own thing and lead your own path. And that's where you should be. That's what got me everywhere in comedy, because I've watched people come in and go out, especially in politics too, and like political people who do ridiculous things for clicks. It's very easy to be like, wow, why did they get, 1 million views on that or whatever? Why didn't I do it?
Yeah.
The best thing is I'm on my own path and I'm going to be successful my own way. And I ignore that stuff. And I think anybody who's coming up and any kid that wants to be in a specific field, ignoring your competition because you're unique and you're going to have your own path to success is the best thing you can do.
I think that's awesome. That's great. All right. Here's the big question. Now, I have no idea where this is going to go with you, but like we talked about, the show's Common Sense, the podcast. So we like to talk about common sense knowledge you gained along the way, something that's helped you in life, yada, yada, yada. But if you get a chance to give the viewers your 2 cents, it could be your 2 cents about, I don't care what's weighing on you, something you want to say, something you want to put out there. You say a lot of shit, and you put a lot of stuff out there. So I don't know what you want to say tonight, but we have a segment that we end every show with called My 2 Cents. So what's Tim Young's 2 cents?
Ignore anybody who doesn't like you. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy on negative things. And if there's something that you think is negative in the world, don't pay attention to it. Just don't. Like unless it's going to personally affect you, ignore it. Like, I'm an entertainer, so my stuff, when I post my opinions on the internet, that's my job, right? So like, if I don't post enough for a certain day, I'll get on and make sure I say some things, and I always have an opinion on something. But there's so much negativity and there's so much stuff out there that like ultimately the best, healthiest thing you can do is ignore it. And if you feel like you're being harassed, I don't understand, for some reason, if you're being harassed on the internet, I get death threats. Like, I know that I'm over the target when I'm getting death threats.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I can do? I can either sit around and whine about it, or I can do this crazy thing where I put my phone down. I don't have to read it. I don't have to pay it any time. I don't have to give it any attention. And you shouldn't give negativity any attention whatsoever. A lot of my career, shockingly, is people who don't listen to that. And there's so many people who hate me because of my opinion. My basic opinion, like you said, I can take something that you say or anybody else says and say it in my own way, and everyone loses their minds. And I don't get it. Right? Because I just think I'm a normal person. Like I've had some really great experiences in my life, but I'm just normal. The fact that somebody is losing their mind or creating a troll account or thinking to threaten me to try to silence me or like we were stalked in San Antonio a couple of months ago. Like the craziest people, for me just saying my mind, I don't give that any of my energy. It's like, this is the most energy I'm giving it, is like this right here, right? Like, 'cause I don't care. I always look at my spam folder like once a week and just see like if there's death threats or whatever come through. Like, luckily, like Google does a good job of like filtering
that for you.
Yeah, but there's just stuff. There's some people who have emailed me constantly about why are you still talking and blah blah blah, and I'll come after you. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Al thinks I should report him to the police, but I don't think they're ever going to do anything. And plus, it's really fun if you conceal carry. Like, you might have a chance to use your gun. But like, that's like, but it's not worth your time. Negativity is not worth your time. We used to hate watch some shows, Al and I, and we just stopped because like it's just we are so busy producing like positive stuff and doing really cool stuff that it's just, again, not to say it for the 100th time in a row here, but it's just not worth your time. It's not worth your energy. And there are so many people who say nasty stuff. Like, I don't look at the replies. Occasionally I'll say, like, I'll see a nice person at the top who's like verified on Twitter and I'll say something. Once in a while, if I'm on the toilet,
that's why he doesn't respond to me. I'm not verified. I've only had like 500 posts.
Well, you gotta send.
I know. I'm just kidding.
You have my phone number.
Yeah.
But like I'll occasionally, if I'm pooping, like I'll swipe and maybe I'll reply to somebody and drop them. But like, ultimately, it's just not worth your time to waste on somebody who is like full of hate and full of negativity on both sides. Even if it's a favorable person to you that's like being negative and whatever, don't feed into it. Like, I turn the news off. Like, and as someone who's worked for the news and who gets quoted in the news a lot, like once the COVID stuff started and I realized how they were cashing in on it, I don't want to watch like death and dying and like the red alerts and whatever on COVID every day. Like, I got over it. I went and just traveled the country and had a great time. And let me tell you, where I went, everything was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, and nobody was worried about it. So again, I think my life has been markedly improved by just ignoring all the negativity.
Yeah.
So that's my
living your life, speaking your mind, and having a good time. Yeah.
If somebody hates me, it takes more effort for them to hate me than anything else. I just don't understand. Like, actively holding a grudge or actively like disliking someone because of their opinion. I don't care. I mean, like, I have.
My life is not going to change because you don't like me or you want to say X about me. Just saying that I think Cardi B shouldn't have the WAP over
Didn't even know she
Dr.
tweeted
Seuss. Yeah, I mean, like, it could be that stupid, but like people are going to go absolutely batshit crazy over it.
Keith Olbermann once a week would be in my feed, like saying something stupid. And like, I would respond to him and be like, here, the old man's back for more attention. The unemployable old man is back for attention, blah, blah, blah. And he'd get ratioed. But like, it's like, why? Why is Keith Olbermann, who's a successful TV presenter, was at ESPN, he's apparently, he's lost enough jobs, but he's probably worth a couple $1 million. Why does he care what I say?
Yeah.
He should be big dogging me. Just leave it alone. Walk away.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, anyway. I really appreciate you coming out for the show, man. Like,
Thanks.
It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you, getting to chat. Like, I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the show.
I got paid in rubles. I mean,
yeah, you got paid in rubles.
As a Russian,
I'm contributing to the conspiracy theories surrounding Tim Young.
I love this.
Yeah.
I want to meet this
Don't
guy.
do anything bad with that.
That's the only thing I want out of this. I want to meet the principal cigars guy because I want to do something
All right,
with my old
Darren
documents.
Chaffee's a very good dude, man. Like, I think you two would hit it off, man. Like, I think Darren Chaffee and you would be a good sit down and enjoy a cigar and share some stories. Like, you both are into collecting weird paper documents and historical stuff. Like, you guys would definitely hit it off. Like, yeah, that's something you both have in common.
I love it.
So, all right. Thank you again.
Thank you so
Appreciate you being on the show. You guys, we're going to have a great show for you next week. I'll announce it a little later this week. Leave you hanging on that. But thank you for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoyed it and you gained some knowledge from the show. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Have a great week.